Coming up in this episode of Rebel Report, we are at Allegiant Stadium as the UNLV football team gets ready to kick off a new season.
Plus, the protocols UNLV athletics have in place that hope to keep it a safe football season.
Later in the episode, we'll be joined by Brandon Steele for the rundown to talk about UNLV's upcoming football season and what stands out for him.
Welcome to the Rebel Report from right outside Allegiant Stadium. I'm Ashley Dickinson.
I'm Danny Smythe, and before we dive into a big week in Rebel sports, we want to tell you what we're all about and what we hope to give you at home.
Every week we will cover UNLV athletics, unlike anywhere else, as well as cover major sporting events that happen in Southern Nevada.
This week we're here at Allegiant Stadium where UNLV football will host their first home game in their new stadium in just over a week. But first, they start the season against a familiar foe. Rebel Report's Kenny Jemison has the news.
Thank you, Danny. I'm outside of the Fertitta Football Complex, where it's a new team with a new look and a new stadium. UNLV is entering the season with a lot of new and a lot of expectations. Week 1 is leading them to San Diego, where they're taking on the 2019 New Mexico Bowl winning Aztecs. The new team will be looking for redemption from last year's 17-20 loss, and they might just have what it takes. Thanks to new head coach Marcus Arroyo, the Rebels were able to catch a 28-player recruiting class ranked number 1 in the Mountain West by rivals.
Now we move on to game week, and we start trying to focus as fast as we can on another opponent, all the while still trying to really, lay the groundwork for what we're trying to do in a new program. So, a challenging time, but it's been a lot of fun.
Due to COVID-19, the team will also be battling a new challenge going into Game 1 this year, playing without fans in the stands.
You just gotta suck it up and play football without the fans. I understand, the NBA did it in the bubble.
Make sure to tune into the game this Saturday at 7:30 on CBS Sports, and catch the Rebels' first home game at Allegiant Stadium next week. Reporting for Rebel Report, I'm Kenny Jemison.
This week's season opener is a big game, but next week is the game that everyone is looking forward to, the battle for the Fremont Cannon. The Rebels have won the last 2 games against UNR and have kept the Cannon scarlet red. Their last meeting went into overtime as the Rebels won the game 33-30. But the big story of that game at the end, when both teams got into a brawl after Reno's defensive back Austin Arnold sucker punched Rebels' Kenyon Oblad. The brawl carried over to the stands where players hit other players, as well as fans hitting players. The battle for the Fremont Cannon is on Halloween night at 7:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. This will also be the Rebels' first home game of this season. Let's see if there's still any bad blood left over from the brawl. After the rivalry game against UNR on Halloween, the Rebels will host Raider quarterback Derek Carr's alma mater, Fresno State, on November 7th. The next 2 are away from Allegiant, against San Jose State on November 14th and Colorado State on the 21st. The final 2 home games against Wyoming and Boise State will be broadcast nationally on Friday nights, on November 28th and December 4th. The season finale will be in Hawaii on December 12th. UNLV Athletics announced this week that kickoff time will be at 8 p.m. Pacific time. At the moment, the only place you'll be able to watch that game here in Las Vegas is through the Team One Sports app, which can be downloaded on your Roku, Amazon Fire device, or your smartphone.
The football team suffered a slight setback in their preparation for the new season. Local news outlets are reporting that several members of the team, including players, coaches, and staff, have tested positive for COVID-19. The names of those infected have not been released. Per Mountain West protocols, they must remain in isolation. Despite the positive tests, UNLV Athletics has been aggressive in maintaining the players' and coaches' safety.
Corey Barnes takes a closer look at how their COVID protocols have come along.
COVID-19 threatened the fate of UNLV football's upcoming season. Although the Mountain West previously suspended the season, UNLV's first game is at Allegiant Stadium on October 31st against Nevada. Despite UNLV football starting their season and releasing their upcoming game schedule, the question remains whether fans will be able to attend the games and tailgate. Due to COVID-19, restrictions and guidelines are in discussion on how to proceed with the fan pride in the stadiums.
We are working in conjunction with our state and local officials to have a limited seating capacity. And if there's a way forward, we're definitely going to do that. We know people want to see and be a part. And there's one thing so beautiful about the galvanizing impact of sport. We want to be able to do that, but we have to do it safely. And we've had continuous conversations, and we are cautiously optimistic.
Although fans wait in anticipation to possibly attend some of the fall season games, the caution of everyone's safety and well-being is valued most important. UNLV football has recently reported multiple positive COVID-19 cases. However, a plan is in place.
So we're actually pretty certain what to do once we have a positive confirmatory PCR test. Then they automatically start contact tracing, and I'll let Dr. Lopez talk about that. But for our particular protocol, what we do is we have them go into self-isolation. They need to be isolated for 10 days, and then we start our cardiac clearance protocol, which includes various different tests to just make sure there's no presence of myocarditis. And then after that, a reconditioning protocol. So we're making sure our athletes are safe to return rather than just throwing them back in.
We will continue to see how UNLV football continues to regulate their protocols and how other college teams will follow. Make sure to tune into our report and check on our social media pages for the latest.
UNLV senior running back Charles Williams has been named as a 2020 semifinalist for the William V. Campbell Trophy. The award goes to the nation's top football scholar athlete that excels in academics, football, and shows great leadership. This is the third award nomination for Williams this season. He was also nominated for the Maxwell Award, which honors the nation's top college football player, and the Doak Walker Award for the nation's top running back. Finalists for the Campbell Trophy will be announced this November.
Still to come, the Raiders are back here at Allegiant Stadium this coming weekend, with a major opponent and Hall of Fame quarterback awaiting them. A preview of their Sunday night showdown with the Bucs coming up.
And coming up next, I will sit down with Brandon Steele to talk about UNLV's upcoming football season. We'll dive into the schedule and discuss topics surrounding the team.
Don't forget to check out our weekly podcast on Spotify. Every week, we break down all of the big sports stories happening in Las Vegas, including the Rebels, Raiders, Golden Knights, and much more.
Rebel football season is here, but how do we shape up against the rest of the Mountain West? I'm joined today by Brandon to talk about UNLV's upcoming football season that kicks off this Saturday against San Diego State. Thank you for joining me today, Brandon.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Good to hear it.
Awesome. So UNLV and the rest of the Mountain West announced last month that we would in fact be getting a football season this year. What were your first thoughts when you heard that?
Very excited and grateful. Football in the fall is an essential. And we've seen a lot of other power conferences. The SEC, obviously, they've played about 4 games already. And I really applaud the Mountain West for taking action to kind of bring 2020 back to normalcy. You know what I'm saying? Because football, that's what we look forward to in the fall. And there's a lot of fans, a lot of players graduating at the end of the semester. So it means a lot that we get to get on into our new building and play some ball.
Absolutely, it would be a complete shame if this building wasn't getting used this fall. And the school announced last week that multiple members have tested positive for coronavirus, and we don't know who those players and coaches are, but they've said that it won't affect the game at all. What were your first thoughts when you heard that? Were you scared that games might get canceled? What were you thinking?
No, I wasn't scared that games would get canceled. I'm very confident that we're going to have all of our 8 games on the road and here at home at Allegiant. The team doctor said that it was less than 2.5% of our entire team that had the coronavirus. So I applaud all of our athletes and the Mountain West, but just not the football team, but eventually, the hockey team, the basketball team, the baseball team, they're going to have to be tested every single day. They're going to have to do those little tedious tasks that helps execute our game plan so we can play games on Saturday and sometimes Friday nights. So the boys are doing their jobs, and I'm excited to get the season going.
Absolutely. And so next week we kick off the first home game in their new stadium, Allegiant Stadium, which is directly behind us. And we're doing it against an in-state rival, UNR. It's also on Nevada Day. What do you think this means for all the players on the team and the coaching staff and the city in general, being Nevada Day?
Yeah, it's always going to mean everything to this state and to the 2 cities that are going to battle it out on Saturday. But for me, the first thing that comes to mind is the new coaching era that we have here with Coach Arroyo. He's going to want to make his presence felt by getting a victory here. And obviously the way the game ended last year, the animosity, the brawl at the end of the game that we saw, and it was a very close game. It went to overtime. But I really look at the way we played that game, the Rebels. They're winning a lot of the game. Reno comes back. We have to go to overtime. We're already in a hostile environment. Reno doesn't like us. Feelings mutual for them. But Kenyon Oblad, our quarterback, man, he really broke out of his shell there. He became the leader of this football team. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and you could kind of see him begin to command the huddle. And I would expect him to do the same thing on Saturday next week when we play Reno here in the home opener.
And as you mentioned, the animosity from last season with the brawl at the end of the game, do you think any of that's going to carry over to this season, or do you think they kind of put that behind them and kind of try and play as clean of a game as you can, even though this is an in-state rival?
Maybe not in the beginning of the game. If the game's close, and which I believe it will be close through 4 quarters, we could see it get a little bit scrappy towards the end. But again, this is Coach Arroyo's first season with us here at UNLV. He definitely runs a different ship, so we're going to see how that goes.
And with such a short notice about when the season is going to start, they didn't have as much time as they would like to prepare. How do you see this season playing out? It is only 8 games long, all conference games. What are your thoughts for the season as a whole?
Well, first and foremost, I love the way that the schedule is formatted. The boys are going to have some home cooking because there's a lot of times on the schedule where we see back-to-back home games. And I would like to present a challenge to the boys. Hey, do not lose a game here at home. Under Coach Arroyo, set the tone and make the visitors, wipe their feet before they come on into the house, and be sure not to spill a drink. Don't lose a game here at home. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of challenges. You have Boise State, tough team, and Wyoming. Do your part, play hard, and I think the boys could be around 500.
Okay. And with next week's game being on Halloween, is your go-to to dress up in Rebel gear, or is it to wear a costume?
That's a tough call. Well, hopefully I'll be on the radio so I can be a little bit more professional. But if I'm not, I'm going to be at the game. I'll have to pull something out. I'll have to pull out that Raider in me, get a little in my costume, get going for Halloween. So we'll see.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks for having
me.
Yeah, of course.
That was great insight by Brandon. Don't forget to follow him on social media at Steele_bomb, STEELE_BOMB on social media. That'll do it for the rundown. We'll be back with more Rebel Report.
That's it for today's class. Your assignment for tonight is to watch Rebel Report.
What's Rebel Report?
Ever heard about the best sports news program in Nevada?
Nah.
They cover everything sports in Southern Nevada.
I thought everything was canceled.
Nah, the Mountain West is bringing back football, baby, and UNLV's got a scary matchup against the Rebels at the new Allegiant Stadium.
Didn't you guys throw down last year?
Yeah, there was a fight last year, but you know what? We won the fight, and we smacked them.
We got to get revenge this year then. I really want to see what you guys have to say about it on Rebel Report.
Yeah, you're going to want to tune into this one.
What about other Las Vegas sports?
We got you covered on every sport, from the Raiders to MMA to the Aces to Golden Knights, boxing, you name it, we got you covered.
If I miss the show and it airs on Channel 2?
Hey, if you miss the show, don't worry about it. All of our shows are going to be posted on YouTube and Facebook, so you can watch it anytime, anywhere.
The Las Vegas Raiders are back on the gridiron this Sunday night, right here at Allegiant Stadium.
Rebel Report's Matt Atencio has a preview of the showdown with the Buccaneers and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
This Sunday, the Raiders return home to Allegiant Stadium to face Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a primetime matchup. The Raiders hold the all-time record against the Bucs with an impressive 7-2 regular season record. The Silver and Black look to continue to build on their momentum after defeating the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs 40-32 in their last outing. It was an impressive showing given the team's recent struggles in Arrowhead Stadium. Unfortunately, the team will be shorthanded this week as starting tackle Trent Brown has been placed on the COVID-19 list.
Well, we're listening to the league and they're advising us on what to do. Trent Brown is not here today. His status is unknown. We had to send 5 of our starting linemen home today because they had a tracer. I guess they were around Trent. I can't get into things any more than that, but hopefully we'll get some players back tomorrow or for Sunday.
Their job this week does not get any easier as they face the 4-2 Buccaneers. The Bucs are coming off a dominant 38-10 win against the previously undefeated Green Bay Packers. Their defense also forced Aaron Rodgers into 2 costly interceptions, one of which was returned for a touchdown. The biggest key to the game for the Raiders offense this Sunday is simple: protect Derek Carr. The Bucs have an elite pass rushing duo in 10-year veteran Jason Pierre-Paul and last year's sack leader Shaquille Barrett. Running the ball will prove to be a challenge against the Bucs, who have one of the best run defenses in the league, only allowing about 65 rushing yards per game on average. Linebackers Lavonte David and Devin White are key highlights for the Bucs defense as well.
Yeah, they're very good. White and certainly Lavonte David, they're tackling machines. They have a great system. You know, if you know anything about Todd Bowles, you know it's a pressure defense, single gap, guys get up the field. And these linebackers, they don't make mistakes, and one thing they don't do is they don't miss tackles. They got great range, great instincts, and they don't have the ability to get tired, which is very disappointing to me.
As for the Raiders' defense, the secondary will once again be called on to slow down a potent air attack from Tampa Bay. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Rob Gronkowski are difficult matchups for defenses week in and week out, and the Raiders must find a way to neutralize their threat. With arguably the best QB of all time throwing to them, the task is monumental. Questions also arise around the health of the Raiders' secondary. Safeties Jonathan Abram and LaMarcus Joyner have been banged up in recent weeks and will be sorely needed for this game. Both, however, are expected to play. Kickoff between the Raiders and the Buccaneers is set for October 25th at 5:20 p.m. With a COVID-19 diagnosis in the team, the game could be in jeopardy. As of now, though, nothing has been decided. Reporting for Rebel Report, I'm Matt Atencio.
Raiders' Darren Waller has become a focal point for their offense this year. His story is one of determination, hard work, and overcoming addiction. Steven Yance takes a closer look at his journey.
So runs in motion, fake it, Carr whips it, end zone, touchdown! A hot pass handled by Darren Waller. And the Raiders' offense is alive and well.
If it weren't for being at the right place at the right time, Darren Waller may not be catching touchdown passes from Derek Carr and may not even be in the NFL altogether. That right place and right time was November 25th, 2018, when the Raiders lost to the Baltimore Ravens 34-17. Little did they know, the Raiders gained their next star tight end in the matchup. Waller struggled with addiction early in his career. He was placed on the IR for the entire 2015 season and was suspended for both the 2016 and 2017 seasons for substance abuse problems. He went through a rehab program and was then signed back to the Ravens practice squad.
Yeah, long story short, I got drafted to the Ravens in 2015, and I was getting suspended a lot and in and out of the league. And when I got reinstated by the Ravens in 2018, they cut me and put me on the practice squad. And so I was there till about Thanksgiving of that year. And then the Raiders saw me warming up before the game when the Raiders played the Ravens, and then they claimed me the next day. Couldn't cope with anything without, being as high as I possibly could or as drunk as possible. So that's when it was like, I can't do this anymore. I could feel like death coming.
Waller says he's adjusting well to life in the Las Vegas area and says other players with off-the-field issues look to him as a source for inspiration.
Did you ever think about that from a personal standpoint, making Las Vegas home, and how you'd be able to handle that, and how have you handled that?
Yeah, I've been able to see it from both sides. Like at first I knew it was like if I'm not on my P's and Q's as far as my daily routine and working my program, then Vegas could be a place that could be trouble for me. But it's motivated me to, stay on top of things. I know that people are looking to me for inspiration in a way, so I use that as fuel too.
Reporting for Rebel Report, I'm Steven Yance.
A scheduling conflict could mean Las Vegas and Allegiant Stadium could host the Super Bowl a lot sooner than you might think. According to ESPN, New Orleans will now host the 2025 Super Bowl instead of 2024 due to a scheduling conflict with Mardi Gras and an expanded 17-game regular season. That leaves an open spot for the 2024 Super Bowl. Several news outlets, including ESPN and 8 News Now, report Las Vegas is the front runner to host the 2024 game. NFL owners would have to vote on the proposal.
The 2021 Pro Bowl was scheduled to take place here at Allegiant Stadium has been canceled. The NFL made the decision last week canceling the annual game for this season due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is the first time the Pro Bowl will not take place since 1949. The NFL still plans to name a Pro Bowl team honoring the best players this season. Las Vegas will still get to host a Pro Bowl game. Commissioner Roger Goodell announced that the 2022 Pro Bowl will be at Allegiant Stadium. That year, NFL Draft is also scheduled for Las Vegas.
This past weekend featured boxing's biggest matchup of the year since the pandemic between Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez. Andre Paraiso takes a closer look.
And now, the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, the Takeover, Teofimo Lopez! A star is born tonight. Teofimo Lopez just beat Vasily Lomachenko. Backflip.
Lopez had a solid performance against one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world by controlling the fight with jabs and body shots. However, Lomachenko would come back during the second half of the fight, throwing fast combinations to the body and head of Lopez. In the end, Lopez had pulled off the upset to defeat the former 3-title belt holder in the lightweight division. Here's what both fighters had to say about the results of the fight.
I'm a fighter. I got to dig in deep. I know he was coming. I can't give him that. I don't know if they got him up on the scorecards or not. And I love to fight. I could bang too. I don't care, man. I'll take one to give one. And that's what a true champion does. I come out there and I find a way to win.
Да, на данный момент, да, я думал, что я выиграл. Думал, что я выиграю, но результат есть результат, поэтому я с ним спорить сейчас не собираюсь.
At the moment, I think and I thought, yes, I'm winning a fight, but the result is a result. I'm not going to argue right now. I need to see what's on the reviews.
Lopez became the youngest boxer to win 4 titles in a single division. He won the WBA lightweight title, WBO lightweight title, and the WBC franchise title belt. He also retained his IBF lightweight title to go along with his 3 other belts. From Rebel Report, I'm Andre Paraiso.
Up next, who is the odds-on favorite to win the World Series, and how all of us could be winners during the Fall Classic.
I'm here at the Man in the Basin, and when the Aces are down.
With a majority of the regular working out, Jim Mary's coming into the and let's take a look at what they have to say.
What does it mean for you to be selected to represent?
Well, the nice
Tampa Bay Rays are taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series this week. Each team had to win a Game 7 in their respective league championship series to punch their ticket to the Fall Classic. According to William Hill Sportsbook, the Dodgers opened as a heavy favorite to win the championship at -220. This is the Dodgers' third trip to the World Series in the last 4 seasons. It is the first World Series appearance for the Rays since 2008. Finally, before we leave you, who wants free tacos?
Taco Bell will be offering free tacos again during this year's World Series. The fast food chain rewards members can get free Doritos Locos tacos if a player steals a base during the series. The tacos usually cost $1.89 a piece. Taco Bell says the free tacos can be redeemed through their app just hours after the first base is stolen. That will do it for this week's episode of the Rebel Report at Allegiant Stadium.
Have a good weekend. Go Rebels!